Hi, and in this 4-minute wonder, what I'm going to do is give an introduction to the river and the landscape from when the Romans came and a little bit about how that's changed. So when the Romans arrived, just under 2,000 years ago, this would have been a very different landscape. The river would have been flowing through a gorge that cut through a low sandstone ridge. And then where the Little Rudee and the Rudee is today was the start of an estuary that went all the way to what is now the Irish Sea. The Romans realised that this was the lowest point on the river that they could bridge it. And they bridged the river roughly where the old Dee Bridge is today, perhaps a few metres this way downstream. They also realised that it gave them a defensive position because the low sandstone hill was surrounded by the river swept around it. And also, where the Rudee is, offered a sheltered harbour. The Romans needed an awful lot of material to construct the fortress of Deva. And we know that one of the quarries was where we are in Edgar's Field, at the side of Edgar's Field here, because in the quarry, in Edgar's Field, there is a carving of the goddess Minerva. And she would have been the patron goddess of the quarry workers, because she was the patron goddess of arts and crafts, as well as many other things. The Romans named the fortress Deva after the local British name of the river. And Deva meant goddess, or holy one, or divine. Today, you've got to have some imagination to understand there was a gorge here, because it's been nibbled into by quarrying by the Romans and by subsequent people down the centuries. The medieval masons had quarries, but they also used a lot of the Roman masonry. They reused it, they recycled it. So, for example, St. John's Church was probably, at least in part, built from stone that was taken from the Roman amphitheatre, which is next to it. But also some of it would have been quarried. The abbey, what is now the cathedral, was probably largely built from 2 quarries outside the North Gate. One just off Victoria Road, and you can see that if you go past a cutting on the train into North Wales today or to Shrewsbury. But also if you go to the Fountains Health Centre and you park in the car park below it, that is in a medieval quarry. In the last few centuries, local sandstone ran out and material was actually brought from something called the Helsby Formation, and that actually tended to be a bit more durable. Some of it was red, but some of it was buff and some of it was cream. So, for example, the Grosvenor Bridge is made of Helsby sandstone from Peckforton. The Georgian part of the castle was made from Helsby sandstone from Manley, and the 1930s Newgate was from Helsby sandstone from Runcorn. Today these quarries are also depleted, and for any masonry work going on in town, the Triassic red sandstone tends to come from Staffordshire or Dumfries. So that's my 4 minutes up. Join me for another 4 minutes elsewhere in this fascinating city of Chester.